Hi there, my name is Jen, and unlike a lot of the other role players and things like that online, I'm actually a doctor in real life, and I noticed that you weren't feeling too well, that you're kind of down and discouraged, and you're having a lot of these thoughts of worthlessness and things like that, and I actually think I may be able to help you a little bit. If you want to spend a little bit of time with me and the magical blue glowy thing in my tiny little green office here. So first, go ahead and tell me a little bit about how you've been feeling in the past 6 months. Have you been feeling sad for more than half of the time? Yeah? Have you been feeling like you've been losing interest in the things that you usually enjoy? Yeah. What do you usually enjoy? Well, what do you like to do? There's... What brings you joy? Okay. So you've had this down mood. You've had this kind of loss of interest in things. How about your concentration? Have you felt like your concentration has been worsened a little bit? Okay. Are you having feelings of guilt? Like guilt for no reason? Or even maybe there is a reason, but just guilt that won't leave you alone. Okay. Guilt. How about energy? Have you felt like you've had less energy than you usually have? Okay. Hold on, you have something on your knee here. Just let me brush that off for you. Sorry, I know I'm kind of half in the dark here. I have my laptop, which is nowadays the true tool of every modern doctor. You can barely operate. You can do no work around the hospital without your laptop these days. It's crazy. But now we're not at the hospital. Now it's just you and me in the place between places, in the nowhere zone, with the magical blue thingy. It's more fun than normal doctoring. Another time you'll have to make a follow-up appointment, and we can listen to your heart and all those other things. Like I said, unlike a lot of the people out there, I'm actually a real doctor in real life, so the things that I'll do in my videos are similar to the things I would do in my visits, even though I don't usually whisper to people in my visits, and I'm not quite this quiet, but and I tend to go in and out a lot. All right, the thing is no longer on your knee. I think that we are good to go. Light-wise, let's keep talking. We went through 4 questions. I wanted to talk about your appetite next. How are you feeling? Are you eating more than you usually do or less than you usually do? Okay? All right. All right. And then there's something called psychomotor slowing. That's where you feel like you're moving and thinking and everything else is slower than it usually would be. Are you experiencing any of that? Okay. How about sleep? Sleep. If you're getting too much sleep, you just can't stop sleeping, you get home and all you want to do is sleep, and you don't want to do anything else. or you're getting too little sleep. You just cannot stop sleeping. Okay, so those are all symptoms of depression. If you have had 5 of those consistently more than half of the time in the last 2 weeks, we usually consider that the start of a major depressive disorder episode, unless there's some big adjustments that are going on in your life within the last 6 months. And usually these symptoms are present for like 6 months. Really with MDD it's 222, so it's at least 2 months. So that's depression. You should go talk to your personal doctor about that if you meet those criteria, okay? In the meantime, I have to ask you one more question. Any desire to hurt yourself or anyone else today? Okay. Here's the thing. I'm really glad that you don't have anything that you'd act on today. If you do ever have feelings like that, there's a phone number I'm going to put down in my little notepad that I'll give you. And you can call that number anytime you're feeling like you want to hurt yourself, okay? You're a precious resource, and we gotta be careful with you. There's only one of you on this planet. And statistically, there may be many people like you. There may be many people unlike you. But there's only one actual you, okay? And we need you here. So, in the meantime, let's see if we can start on some exercises that you and I can do together while you're waiting to get in with your therapist or while you're waiting to get help, okay? Because I think I can help you a little bit. So there's this technique called CBT. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy. It's something that you and I can actually do even when we're not near each other, because it's so much patient-driven. It's so driven by what you are willing to do, okay? And basically, it's a way to kind of reprogram your brain to help you feel a little better. So the cognitive behavioral model holds that we have thoughts that then affect our emotions, that then affect our behaviors, right? And these things can feed into each other. Your behavior can cause you to have certain feelings. It causes you to have certain thoughts. But if we can get your thoughts and beliefs, then we think we can help you feel better. On a scientific level, this works because everything that happens in your brain is controlled by a series of neurotransmitters. And those neurotransmitters, they flow through all these little neurological connections you have. And you have these neurological connections in all parts of your brain. And the more you use certain connections, certain thought patterns, the more you will think them. So if you have some neurological connections where the practice thought is always, I'm awful, it's going to be easier and easier for you to think that thought. Now, we all need to have all of the connections available to us, because otherwise we'll never improve. You have to sometimes have the thought, I'm not good at this, so that you can get better, right? There is a wonderful psychiatrist whose name was Viktor Frankl. He was a concentration camp victim. And he was the founder of something called logotherapy. Because in the concentration camps, he spent time trying to figure out, why did some people survive and some people just give up and, break their hearts and die? And logotherapy is a little different than a lot of what has become popularized in modern psychotherapy circles, and maybe one of the reasons you may even have met some psychologists or psychiatrists that really turned you off, is that there's a tendency to, in some of our psychotherapy circles today, to penalize or look down on or punish sadness. Like, you should never be sad. You're never allowed to be sad. And like, there's something wrong with you for being depressed, for feeling a little more than sometimes other people do. And while it's true that there are things that are unusual, there are behaviors that are unhealthy, and there are thought patterns that are unhealthy, logotherapy kind of holds that suffering isn't the problem. The problem is what we have or hold to get us through suffering, the meaning that we put in our suffering. So logotherapy is about finding meaning. And Viktor Frankl wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. I highly recommend it. I'm going to put a link in the handout that I will give you below. If you look down below, right down there, you'll see the papers that I have laid out for you, the resources, and that's going to be one of them. I highly recommend, if you can get that book, that'll be your first CBT homework, is to start reading through that book, okay? I know when you are tired and depressed, you don't want to do anything, okay? So, sorry. I'm trying to fix some of the light here. Make this all more real and organic, right? I'm a real person, you're a real person. So that's the first thing I'd like you to do. I'd like you to get that book, okay? And sit down and write down for me, before our next visit, what are the things that have meaning? And what could your suffering mean? Okay? And then you should go talk to someone about it. What is the meaning for you? Now, what's difficult is sometimes in a sad state, it can be hard to find any meaning in your sadness, right? I'm going through that right now, telling you the absolute truth. Again, this isn't role-playing for me, because in real life I really am a doctor. And I'm actually someone who also has suffered depression. And so I understand it maybe better than some of the other physicians, maybe even than some psychiatrists do, although I have a suspicion many psychiatrists deal with depression, just what they see all the time. And let me put a disclaimer on that. I didn't tell you what kind of doctor I am. I'm a family medicine doctor, which means that I do a little bit of everything. I deliver babies. I do a little bit of cardiology. I even prescribe psychiatric medications, actually. I've helped with some surgeries. I've had a lot of fun adventures, which you can hear about in some of my other resources, but this isn't about me, this is about you. And I only brought up me to tell you that my little brother died 2 years ago. And I was separated from my husband for a long time because of work. And there are things I've had to suffer in my life and in my relationships that are a little different than what normal people usually have to go through. I have been, I've been bullied. I've been harassed. I have recently had my other family member now has breast cancer, and my parents just got out of the hospital with something else that was going on. 2 of my siblings are severely handicapped. I recently this spring had some very close friends that I loved very much betray me, and it was very strange. I'd never had anything that it's a little complicated to say what they did, so I can't tell you what they did, but there was some physical and emotional weirdness that went on, suffice it to say. And on top of everything, with everybody getting sick and just all the people dying in my family, and then I see death all the time, it gets really overwhelming. And sometimes I wonder, what is the meaning in all of this suffering, right? I have found my meaning, and I'd be glad to share it with you at some time. I'm sure that if you look into me enough, you'll know what it is. I want you to find your meaning. So I want you to think about it, okay? And then come back next time and write down what kind of things are important to you, okay? Write a list of things that are important to you and read that book. Then one more thing, just one easy thing. I want you to schedule one activity this week, okay? One activity that gets you out doing something. I don't care if that's biking. I don't care if that's go out to a dance. I don't care if that's, meet for tea with the girls. Whatever it is, okay? Just one little activity, okay? There's a lot of evidence that the opposite of depression is not happiness, but activity. And so for a lot of therapy, a lot of times the first step is going to be to get you to do an activity, okay? I don't want to overwhelm you. We'll start on some of your other CBT, cognitive behavioral assignments next time. But one of the big reasons I wanted to do this was to bring the power of cognitive behavioral therapy out of the hands of the doctors and the psychotherapists and everybody who kind of keeps it all locked up, and open it up to you so that you can take care of yourself. Because sometimes it's hard to get in with a psychologist. Sometimes you can't afford it. Sometimes your insurance company won't even pay for it. So I want to take the power away from the doctors and the insurance companies and give the power to you, okay? I know all my lights are going wonky here because it's about time for us to end. But part of giving that power to you is trusting me to try these things, okay? Now, as always, I'm not your actual doctor. I am a doctor, but I cannot give you medical advice because I don't know you, okay? So if there's something wrong, you need to go see your physician. But we can try to walk through this together, okay? So that's your two things. Get Viktor Frankl's book. If you can't get it, that's okay. And yes, I'm going to try and see if I can become some kind of affiliate just because I believe so much in that book, and I figure why not get something for that. But whether or not I become an affiliate, you can Google instead of clicking on any link I put below. What's important is you and taking care of you, and I highly recommend that book. So just for full disclosure, I may eventually try to become an affiliate with that product. But not right now. Right now I don't have time. And right now just try to get that book. What we may do, if you can't afford that book, is we'll sit down and we'll read it together. Okay? We'll do that over a couple sessions later on. So if you can't get the book, still do the other things I asked you to do, okay? Go ahead. Go ahead and write down the things that are important to you, okay? And schedule one activity. And you're not allowed to harm yourself or do anything before you've scheduled this activity. Because you can't say that you've tried everything if you haven't tried the maybe 100 or so techniques that I am going to recommend to you over the next year, okay? I have successfully treated depression. I have successfully treated depression in the past, okay? And I've also been through it. So I know it sucks. Sometimes life can be really sad. And even if there's nothing happening in you, like in your life, and you're just sad and you don't know why, don't blame yourself. That's still a sickness. That's a thing that's happening to you. That's the chemicals in your brain are out of balance. Depression is complicated, and we'll talk more about what creates it next time. But for now, schedule one activity, okay? One activity, and write down what's important to you. And I'll see you back again next week. I know it sounds strange and corny to say I love you, and I can't say that in the hospital usually to my patients. But I believe that like a Jedi, a doctor should have a compassion for all people. That should be the highest form of love. So in that spirit, I would like to say I love you. Don't get me fired or something for saying that. In the spirit of compassion. Now I know I'm all in the dark here, so I should probably go so that we can get some light in here. I hope you have a lovely day. I believe in you. I'm going to say a prayer for you. And God bless. You can feel better.